Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Just Unsecure podcast series on information and cybersecurity matters as it relates to Africa. My name, as usual, is Babs, and my co-host is OO. We're information security enthusiast and evangelist.
Thank you, everyone. Today, we are talking about a very interesting topic. And this is going to be an interview series. So I guess you must have noticed someone join us. Yeah, today we'll do proper introduction. But today is going to be about DevSecOps. That means Development Security Operations. So that is what we'll be discussing today. And the lady will be introduced much later. The lady in the house. So today we felt it's a new paradigm that we've experienced from the pandemic. And we've seen a topic that seems to be popping up more than what it was before pandemic. And that is DevSecOps. It's just a way to be able to do the security better. Just talk about modernizing your security or putting your security on an upgrade, so to say. So that's what we'll be talking about. Now, I don't want to say so much. I'm here to learn like you as well. So that's why we're bringing an expert and she'll be delving into that. But before we go into that, Tunde, can you please introduce the guest?
Yes, listeners and viewers, the guest, like I said, I wanted to go straight into it, but I want to do all justice to the lady in the house. She started off young, as a young girl, wanted to be a neurosurgeon. Yes, a neurosurgeon. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, she ended up studying computers. Again, much aligned to what the computers are doing right now, basically AI and deep machine learning. She started a career as a programmer and did system administration, third-party supply management, worked on enterprise process re-engineering towards automation that included functional decomposition and system analysis that led to bespoke ERP systems in organization. Finally, she came over to our side, which is the information security, based on looking at resilience within the IT sector during the year 2K bug. If we all remember that year when we all thought, that was the end of the digital world, the year 2K bug. By doing
the millennium.
So, yes, exactly. But by doing so, she now became one of the early certified CISSP in Nigeria. That's a big achievement. Like, we're talking to one of the, I would say, godmothers of CISSP in Nigeria. Luckily for us, our work experience has spanned virtually all aspects of cybersecurity. She says she's not really into technical red teaming, but I'm sure she is if she definitely wants to. Definitely. Our experience has spanned through like operational information security all the way to management and consultancy. She's certified in information security, governance, risk and compliance with an MSc in computer security and audit. And guess what? She has an MBA in human resource management. She's actually currently working for one of the biggest UK retailers. Her name, no other than Aijay Okani, and everyone calls her Aijay. Please give her a round of applause for me. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to this podcast. I definitely
You're welcome to this podcast.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this time. It's good to talk security, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Is there anything you want our viewers to know more about you before we dive into this hot topic?
No, you did it a good one. You did it a good one. Like you rightly said, wanting to be a neurosurgeon, interest in the brain, the complexity of the brain, why is it some people know so much and some people seem not to catch up with it? And then eventually went to IT. And, the computer now is a bit becoming bigger than the human brain with capabilities that is showing anyways. So that's me. Yeah. more interested in making sure that business can understand and business can comfortably work with security, instead of calling us those guys that come in and cause everything to stop, so that they can see us as drivers, people who support, people who make it happen well. More interested in that these days. Yeah.
Thank you.
Interesting. From being a neurosurgeon to now be wanting to be a neurosurgeon to now being a cybersecurity expert. Yeah, I think like that. Yeah, I can say wanting to be a doctor to now being a cybersecurity expert, and that's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
Oh yeah, you see.
Good. I wanted to be an actuarial scientist, and hey.
Oh my word! Oh my word! Do you know, Babs? Yeah, my late father actually said I should go study actuarial sciences. Simply because I was so good with mathematics, and it comes naturally. And he was like, "You are going to just be the best of it," because he was in the insurance industry. And I said, "I don't want to do what you do."
But it was a lady. Well, maybe going off topic, but it was a girl in my class that put me on. She was the most brilliant girl. And when it got to her turn, she said she wants to do actuarial science, and I was like, "Hey, Anyways, let's get to the topic.
Okay, so let's dive in. Thank you so much. So the first question is, what is your definition of DevSecOps? We can say this. I don't know what you are talking about, but yeah, for everybody else.
You see, one thing is, we say DevSecOps. Some people say SecDevOps. Some people say DevOpsSec. I mean, in all of it, just terminology and just terminologies, yeah. But it simply just means incorporating security to software application development and deployment. And I mean, what we call the product lifecycle, what I would say is, the product lifecycle, incorporating security into it, that is DevSecOps, SecDevOps, DevOpsSec, whatever you call it. It just put security, and not just put security like a function sitting somewhere that you can go to or that you could call, but rather embedding security, that function InfoSec, embedded it right into the product, life cycle, so that security can actually be what it's supposed to be. Yeah. Absolutely. Secure the product life cycle. That is it, from end to end. From when we are thinking, what I say to people is this: when business is thinking, no matter how rough it is, think along with security, and we could help you to think, better. We could challenge your thoughts. We could expand your thoughts, and starting to embed at that time, we actually make sure we come out with a resilient, secured product. Yeah, nobody's gonna say it could not, maybe the product becomes so secure that nobody can compromise it. But what happens here is we can anticipate compromising, we can anticipate anomalies, and then we can equally know, when we run into problems, to know exactly where the issues are. Yeah, the ability to know where the problems are. That is when we can quickly, forensically sort out issues and bring products back to life, rather than going off. And when you look at the digital world now, nobody has time for downtime. You have downtime, it goes to competition. Yeah, so how else can you make sure you are not having no downtime? It's security. And like Babs was saying, bringing resilience to IT is the only way to do that, is via security. And when you look again, business can become compliant to to regulations and everything via security, because a secure product is what it is. Therefore, DevSecOps, let's come to it. DevSecOps, SecDevops, DevOpsSec, any one of them, embed security into product lifecycle. That is it.
Thank you for nailing that. I was like, so if I'm going to take a definition home, I'll just say, okay, DevSecOps is a way in which I can embed security into production lifecycle.
Simple. Straight out. Yeah.
Fantastic. But again, you've mentioned one big word in between. And that is DevOps. So if you mention DevSecOps and we remove the security in between, like, okay, so what is DevOps? Because that's a new word in the industry. So
everybody's talking about DevOps.
Yeah, everybody say DevOps.
DevOps. I'm a DevOps engineer. Yeah. I'm a DevOps this. I'm a DevOps that.
What is actually DevOps?
Yeah. That is the new word. Yeah. Every day we have new things come up. So that things, dancing to the dynamics in the business landscape, really DevOps, we can look at it this way. From traditional IT development and all of that. I remember in those days, you have IT department somewhere, sitting somewhere. Then you have some programmers sitting some other place doing their bit. IT does not know what they're doing. They can understand what they're doing. And then development, programmers there, they come around and they're talking to IT. We need this particular spec of a machine. And IT is wondering, why do you want me to do it? That is not what we use. And IT cannot actually understand the reason why this guy wants this level of processing capability. Because IT then could not understand that he needs to compile his programs. He needs to be able to check out the ability for those, programs or applications to, work as expected. And then we only had business going to speak with developers or programmers, away from IT. And just goes, I need you to do this. I have this. I need you to give me this product to be able, we have this customer need. We need you to put this together. And then it now on the programmers to begin to negotiate with IT, to negotiate, we need this and all of that. We can't. And in all of this, time to deliver, time to go to market is being affected. So that brought about, okay, how do we do this? There needs to be some kind of collaboration. We need to find a way to come together, because that's the only way you can actually meet business expectations around timelines. Because business comes to say, I need this. The only negotiation they want to say is, I need this to go in the next 6 months. And the worst that happens is that a competition is already delivering that service, because everybody needs some kind of competitive advantage at every moment, or business is thinking, I need to automate this end of my delivery, my business, to be able to beat competition or to be ahead. And so that brought about the need to come together. IT, when I say IT now, infrastructure, then the IT operations, where IT is sitting down, and IT service management, because that is the next thing, having these three people come together, and then with the developers. So currently we have in many organizations practicing, DevOps, we have majorly IT operations and development. But the next thing to do is to get service management to come in. So that we have one team that business goes to and talks about his ideas, and then negotiates SLAs for delivery, and then just goes away. And this team will now come together and deliver. So that is DevOps.
Wow.
Where IT operations, and the developers themselves that used to live in disparate worlds are now coming together, collaborating as one team. we still have issues, but not like, when it's, it was like you are living in the West and some other person is living in the East, and you're supposed to be working together as a team to deliver one product. But now we're having them in a team. So that is basically what DevOps is about. There are different definitions. There are so many ways people are defining it. But for this discussion, let's talk what exactly it is. This is not textbook definition, but exactly what it is and what are the expectations. And then again, DevOps becomes so beautiful now, because of the cloud, the cloud, public cloud availability, and infrastructure provisioning and all of those bits. So it becomes so easy for DevOps to mature to the level where it is now because of the cloud technologies and offerings that we have all over the place. So that's
Thank
DevOps.
You. That's fantastic, guys. And you've mentioned so many things that we're definitely going to have to dig your thoughts about. You mentioned about security in DevOps, and I noticed obviously you've done so many implementations in different organizations. How did you go about? First of all, how did you go about introducing it, and why? As in, what was the issue you saw, and how did you go about introducing the DevSecOps within the organization?
Yeah, DevSecOps is still maturing, I can tell you. Yeah, it's still maturing. It depends on the organization you are coming into, the maturity of their IT, the collaboration between IT and development, IT operations and development. Even where there has not been a tight collaboration, in bringing Sec into DevOps becomes a big deal. Yeah. So there is no one bullet that kills it for anybody. If somebody says that, I'm open to learning, but it depends on the business owners you are meeting, or the business managers you are meeting, and depends on the maturity, the maturity of the IT operations with development. Sometimes, I find myself being somebody who is like arbitrating between development and development and the IT operation guys, the guys provisioning. Because they've got their expectations and the way and manner these IT assets and services should be consumed. Remembering that their KPI is based on performance and utilization at the lowest cost. So you find, it depends on what you find in the organization. So we help you to, sometimes you're starting from the scratch, sometimes you're coming into a place that is already matured enough, and so it becomes easy to incorporate it. Now, what is the number one thing I will be looking at coming to an organization is to see if there is a DevOps strategy. Okay. Do you have a DevOps strategy? That is another talk. Not just standing up and saying, "Oh, okay, everybody come together now. We have to begin to work together." There should be a strategy for engineering, a strategy for DevOps itself. Where you have that, you can actually put in the different requirements for security within that strategy.
So from that angle, do you think how does the traditional security operations differ from the DevSecOps of the new DevSecOps we're all trying to implement? How does that?
Beautiful. It differs so much so that we know that traditional security says define requirements, go away, And when they are done, come back and test.
Yeah.
That is traditional security. Define requirements, go away, come back and test. But doing that will kill the reason for DevOps. Remember, DevOps came about because of the need to quickly go to markets, to quickly, provide business, the right IT tooling it needs, to survive, to compete, to win.
To be agile.
So if you do the traditional waterfall, I'm putting it in quotes because before now, security is waterfall. We're going, line by line. So we do requirements, we go away. You don't call us again until you're done or something, and all of that beats. Then we come to tests, and then we give you these number of vulnerabilities all over the place. And sometimes you give these development teams this list of vulnerabilities, and even where you have replicated those vulnerabilities to the point that you've articulated it, that is real, is happening there, they can see it, it becomes a big deal going through the pipeline to remediate those identified anomalies. Yeah. So that becomes a thing, and reason why there is that need, that drive to put or embed security into every part of the software development lifecycle. So how are we going to do it? We do it by going agile instead of the waterfall methodology for delivery. We do the agile. So pay as you go, as you want it, as you request. We provide you the requirements you need, and we test. Because in DevOps, remember, it is continuous development, continuous integration.
Absolutely.
It's going, and then we can equally now add, just for the reason of this, who knows, tomorrow it may become something, continuous optimization. Yeah. So we need actually to be sitting in. Yeah. You are not going to sit at the beginning and tell somebody at the end of the day when he needs to really, he needs to put 4 or 5 releases. And then that the first one has to go before the second one, before the third one. And and you are still holding his first release, and the time is going. So that brought about, and that equally now should make any forward-thinking organization to or security function to begin to look for ways to align security requirements, security requirement implementation, security testing right into the DevOps strategies of the organization. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I will ask you, some people will be itching now, like, this is so much, especially for those organizations who have not started or about to start, and they'll be saying, you've said so much, it's really nice, but in a nutshell, what are the common mistakes, if you can say, or from organization? Because some want to jump in, it's a good idea, I'm going to take it to the board tomorrow, I'm going to tell everybody, So what are the common pitfalls that we must avoid?
Is it security now to be able to align? I said earlier, it makes it easy for security to come into DevOps when there is a well-defined DevOps strategy. There is something I equally call the pipeline strategy or the build strategy. So it is known at what point do we have our unit testing? At what point do we have our regression tests? The normal code, test. How are we checking out our dependencies, on the libraries that we're using or the other people's work that we are incorporating? So that should be the first foundation. You must put that in a good standing where you know exactly what you are doing, and there must be principles. Yeah. And again, something I see majority of the time is where the DevOps people called, we now call them DevOps engineers and development engineers. So IT operation engineers, because they're equally coders. Remember, in the cloud, we're having infrastructure as a code. That's what they are provisioning, Docker, Git, and all of those bits. Yeah. So that you should first of all make sure that part is in order. Yeah. And quickly at the same time that you're putting it in order, security should be working, from the beginning of that. But where security has not come in and you have DevOps happening, you may not have called it DevOps, really, but you have a heightened collaboration between IT operations and development team. You can bring in security. But again, security in coming into that setup should now remember that is no longer security implementation as before, because these guys are using Scrum, they are doing Kanban, they are doing Agile. So it depends on which of the DevOps methods they've adopted to use, or some bespoke one. Whatever it is, you need to understand those are the principles of the DevOps. You need to understand them and then decide on how security is going to come in. But I would always say it, DevOps has to do with agility. Therefore, you must bring security in a very, very agile way. That is the only way you can match up with it. Otherwise, the alignment is not going to work. So first of all is make sure that you have DevOps strategies and principles well defined and going on, and then you bring in security to match up with the particular DevOps methodology that is in place in that organization. Yeah.
So invariably, it's going to be a disaster if you don't have a strategy.
Oh yeah.
And the supporting technology.
Oh yeah.
You just went
trouble.
over there and said,
trouble.
I have an idea.
No.
So you can't fit in the new technology into the old environment. So you have to change.
Have some strategy of doing something. I mean, we say it that we plan to succeed, isn't it? You plan to. How is it said? You don't plan, you fail. You plan to succeed. Some cliche like that. Yeah. So strategy is about planning. Strategizing, planning. How are we going to do this? And then this is the way we will be dealing with this. You should have it. Yeah. And every good organization should have some strategy. Yeah. Sorry, Babs.
No, because I remember, like, in the initial discussion, you said in your initial statement, you were rephrasing that things are changing due to the cloud.
Oh yeah,
the cloud, cloud, everything going to the cloud. I wanted to understand, how does DevSecOps, how is DevSecOps able to operate within a cloud environment, knowing that we have different kinds of cloud setup? You've got the private, you've got the hybrid, you've got the public. From your own experience, how does the DevSecOps fit in each of these cloud setup?
Yeah, as a security person, what I tell people is you should be not just aware, you should know the popular cloud public clouds that we have. I'm trying as much as possible not to advertise anybody. And then I'm trying not to run against anybody's NDA or something. Yeah. So you should understand, at least basically, the different clouds, the different public clouds. And for each one of them, they have the security part of each of the clouds, really. Mm-hmm. And then we have loads and loads of tooling, security tooling to help us automate security. So I'm not going to be peering through somebody's application codes. There are tools to help you do that. And in the cloud, they're all available for all of these tooling vendors, security vendors. They're all there doing the same offerings, really. So the cloud makes it so easy to actually roll out DevSecOps. It makes it so easy.
So from your experience, would you say the DevSecOps is easier to implement and roll out when it comes to a public cloud? And is that the best from your own perspective, or would you say
it easy?
So you wouldn't recommend? Okay, it makes it easier once it's
it makes it easier, because I mean, you will work with anything your clients or an organization that calls you to help them. You will help them. Knowing the basic things to do. But remember that DevOps talks about automating IT operations, the collaboration between IT operations and development team. So the cloud offers that. Yeah, it offers it completely. So you could go from, a cloud, have PaaS, platform as, so you have infrastructure as a service, so your DevOps, everybody is sitting there. Everybody is there. I mean, it is Beautiful. There. Yeah. So that makes it easier. But I don't want to say to somebody who is not ready to go to the cloud, who is because going to the cloud should have a strategy too, should have a deep think through, how do we want to go, what do we want to go with, are we going, are we packing up and going over there, or are we doing it 50-50, are we doing it 70-30, or are we closing down the physical data center we've got and do everything? Are we doing cloud, for every day and doing our disaster recovery on premise? I mean, these are things you have to actually put them together before But for those who have already moved into the cloud, it becomes so easier. Yeah, it's so easier, especially if there is a DevOps strategy that is going on. That is happening. If there is a DevOps strategy that is happening already, then we can begin to look at what is the pipeline strategy. Do you have a pipeline strategy, like a build strategy? So where you have it specifically, requirements, you have something to deal with requirements management, you have something to deal with the actual coding, you have the build, you have something, what are you using? You've taken all those decisions. Is Jenkins or it is Docker? I don't want us to go into DevOps so that I'm not dealing with DevOps. So depending on what you have in place, then security can actually come into embed into that you have. So the cloud makes it the easiest. I can tell you.
Okay. So you've mentioned a few things.
Few loads. I have lots of questions.
We keep mentioning few things. We keep mentioning.
I can say a few things because at least I can only grab few of them.
Oh my word!
Yeah, you said a lot. But one thing that kept coming to my mind, and I know some of our listeners also will be asking, like, where can I begin? I only know, as a security professional, I've only know few tools that I've been using for the traditional security. Now you are not mentioning DevOps, infrastructure as a code, CICD. What are the equivalent security tools? Because sometimes we are security tools or framework driven. So for example, I'll rather say not even tools, I'll say framework. Are there existing framework on security side that makes up these DevSecOps?
Oh yeah. There are several. I mean, OWASP has got its framework for DevSecOps. NIST, as usual, NIST will always get us something. The DoD has got his own. Red Hat has got his own. VMware has got its own. I mean, I'm trying not to give names, but each one of them has some, some framework in place for embedding sec into DevOps.
But in Africa, if we're going to implement, it's beautiful the way you mentioned all those big shots. Yeah. But in Africa, which majority of our audience probably are. So what are the ones that you've tested and you can say, oh, based on its implementation, I can say go this way. We know that you work with one of the best companies in the world, but at least you can break it down for us.
No, really, the best way to deal with it, is what we call security as microservice. Remember, I talked about bringing agility into security, implementations and requirement definitions and implementation. So when we talk agility, we talk about breaking big things into little pieces, micro pieces. So we can as well break down security requirements into little pieces. Yeah. So with that, you can implement it in any environment that you come into, and take up what the the InfoSec capabilities that you want to bring in based on what they are doing, and break them down into little microservices, knowing that DevOps is not going to. So you are going to have teams, product teams, for instance, either product teams or service teams or just teams, who are dealing with developments. Under Agile does not say after this we do this. No, it just says we start with the easy one and then eventually build them into the big one. So you can chunk security requirements or security compliance requirements into little services so that they could be called at any time. So what am I saying? We know software development lifecycle, requirements gathering, architecture, proper coding, testing, and all of that bits. Because you're not going to go on a linear line in the course of embedding security or in the course of DevOps consuming security. Because you could have this team tells you, requirements and all of that bit. So you should be ready quickly to embed, to understand what business wants and identify the security requirements needed for that particular product.
Wow.
Yeah. So business has given its requirements to the development team or DevOps now, with IT, and it's giving the requirement. So you should be able to identify your own security requirements and embed it into it, such that if they call you tomorrow and say, we have a solution design, be it draft, be it the final, whatever it is, we have a solution design. You can quickly call up, say, threat modeling. Yeah? To go threat model that solution design with the infrastructure design. To look at all the things they look to use, is it the right version? So we're not waiting for patch Tuesday and patch Wednesday. Right there, you are closing that bit. So you are calling in a microservice called threat modeling.
But let me quickly ask a question. Is that when you say you're getting, like, for example, the threat modeling, are you using a particular framework for that microservice?
Oh yeah, you could use anything. You could use anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for threat modeling, you could use anything. You could use the Microsoft one. You could use anything. You could actually be looking at, you're going to be kicking off an SQL server, you could actually try to do the threat modeling in that. You look at the data flows and begin to threat model,
Okay.
So you could do that, but the best is to use a framework,
A framework. Okay, so basically you have a framework and different domains, and you make all the different domains into small microservices.
Micro little bits,
within the development sector.
So for whatever you need,
hubs.
So for whatever you need, it can be called up. So we are not saying, no, we've done requirements, we're waiting for you to finish. And then again, since they are microservices, so we have our SaaS or application, security testing tools that are already there. You embed them right into the pipelines. So you are not waiting at the end. Now, if for those that are using GitHub, we have some security bits, the services that you could get from them too, and make sure those things are turned on the pipeline to make sure that things are being checked out immediately. And it makes it easier because when one's vulnerabilities are found, you can do a quick discourse, do a quick resolution, support them to resolve it, and then move to the next thing. So at the end of the day, like I said to everyone, and wherever I go to, I give a promise and I say to you, I'm not going to be a blocker. And what you hear is, you're going to see how far you're not going to block us. Because you're security.
Because it's security.
Yes, because you're security.
No. The default answer is no.
The default answer is no. I like that.
So that's how you can do it, really.
I think for most of our viewers, most people will be wondering how expensive in terms of organization and the scale, how expensive is it to set up? Because right now we're talking about development. If you're doing a major project, you're looking like 50 to 80 developers and operations, even more for big time organizations, the big multinationals. So looking at maybe IT software development companies or some companies, small time companies within the like Africa or something like that. What's the cost like? What was it like to set up a DevSecOps team or put sec within the DevOps? What would you say from your own experience?
Like you started it by saying, we'll have different sizes of the DevOps after, so there is no oh, you need $1 million or you need $1 billion. Yeah. But the first thing is to learn from people, be sincere about getting the right people to work with you. It actually helps to get the right people to work with you, not people who are going to walk around the organization, people who will actually come to help you. If you can't afford them, to employ them internally, you could identify people who could come help you with solution architecturing. Security solution architecturing, to look at your processes and look at what security InfoSec solutions that should work with what. When you do that, it helps to reduce proliferation of tooling. Yeah, and then I will equally say, for you to be able to scope these toolings right. Yeah, and these days we have tools that can one tool that could do 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 things. Yeah. But there is no hard rule in how much you're going to, if I'm sitting down here and saying, oh, because you're small, you're going to spend this. No. But the only thing is, if you're sincere about what you want to do, you go out there and be sincere in your search for the right people to help you. Yeah. With that,
just a follow-up question on what some of us are pro open source. And I will, just on the budget, right?
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah, it makes it cheaper, isn't it? It makes it cheaper.
We usually say it's cheaper, but sometimes, sometimes it's not cheaper. But but my question is, I'm a pro open source person.
Yes.
Would you say that open source DevSecOps tools have matured enough?
Open source is how good open source is the rapid R&D, because there are loads and loads of people, using, testing, recommending and changing. But because it is open source, it has its security issues. Because it's open, and it has its security issues. So if you are going to go, but there is no way you're going to do this without some kind of open source, but you should have a strategy for testing every piece of open source, say application or whatever, or utility you want to use. There should be a way of testing it, and there should be your way of ensuring versioning that you have to, that will go to patch management of open source. Very important. And vulnerability management of open source.
So fixing the security tools.
Yes. So it's on you. It's on you that it could be cheaper going open source. Yeah. And you just have this on your mind, or find a way to deal with vulnerability and patch management of the open source utilities you're going to be calling in. And the good thing again is this: majority of the matured open source utilities or vendors or communities these days are beginning to license some part of the open source.
Yeah.
So you have community version and you have the licensed version. So depending on what you're doing, you now know, am I going to depend on the community version? When you go on the community version, they're ready to have a very robust vulnerability and patch management happening for it. But when you go to the licensed one, the licensed versions, enterprise versions, they're called enterprise versions. If you do a one-to-one comparison, orange to orange, sometimes you prefer to go to closed source. Really. Really. That's what I have found out. Yeah, because there are a lot of hidden costs that there are a lot of hidden costs, and that's why I talk about scoping. You need to, when I say scoping, means understanding your use cases and doing a kind of an RFP to be sure that that's open source or closed source has features to support your use cases.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
well, I want to take it back to the management side, because I'm a management kind of focused kind of person, because the management holds the money. And that's where information security needs to have the buy-in from management. So how do you convince, or what do you do to get management or the business really to accept the DevSecOps? Because obviously, like you say, business wants things to go straight into production.
Yeah.
Business is money. Time is money. How do you convince management? Because management are going to look at you. Who are you trying to stop a product to go into production? If business says it's time to go, it's time to go. How do you tell management or convince management, look, we need to go through this DevSecOps process or methodology for a more secure product?
More secure, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, number one that I would say is for the InfoSec community, there is need for continued education sincere, honest, continuing education. You cannot convince anybody. My late father said something to me which is so like ingrained in me, and I see it works anytime. He says you cannot win without a superior argument, and superior arguments comes from deep learning and knowledge. Yeah. So you're not going to come talk all over the place, and there is no depth. It depends on the business managers that you meet. Yeah, you need to know your onions and be sure of what you are talking about, and with that you can actually convince. Yeah, but easy or hard again, you could be the best whoever or whatever security. Easy or hard will equally depend on the organization's appetite for risk.
So from your own experience, do you align? Because most people say always carry the business along.
That's it. Babs, you can't do nothing if you don't get their buy-in.
Yes.
So you have to be as political as possible. I think working as an InfoSec consultant has actually taken me into politics. Yeah, because you need to be very political, to be able to pitch and sell, InfoSec.
Yeah. So do you now think we will be looking at, instead of DevSecOps, we should now be calling it Biz DevSecOps? Is that the next thing?
Beautiful. Do you know what? Yeah, Babs. Yeah? I remember before I went to my current employers, I had a financial services, a bank, a boutique high street, but very, very, very old bank out here in the UK, yeah, asking me to be a BISO.
Yeah, I've heard that.
No longer a CISO. So we've got this BISO thing where we are looking, where organizations are looking for InfoSec professionals that have management, have capability to speak to business.
Yes, absolutely.
No more technical OWASP, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? Talk to business to understand. So there is a function now. I mean, for people who are interested, big money, because you're sitting at the same level as the CISO. Yeah, you're talking, you become that person that does the alignment between the CISO and business.
Yeah.
So that is that is the way to that. If you as an organization want to do that, get somebody. And I think a lot of people are asking me to come do that function of a BISO because they see my business degree, my graduate business degree, and again, because one is talking business, I can understand business. For me, it is so easy to speak to business about what we're doing in information security.
Wow, wonderful. So
yeah,
DevOps, DevSecOps, and next one is Biz DevSecOps. Beautiful.
Yeah, we just said it here. Yeah, we just said it here, Babs. I mean, it could just be the beginning of it, but already there is BISO. Yeah. There is business definitely. Information security officer.
Yeah.
So, we are. I mean, whatever the business brings, we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Very well. Very well. I'm tempted to ask you about something, right?
Yeah.
Let me put you on the spot. What was your latest political speech around DevSecOps?
When I went into DevSecOps.
Yeah. No, what was your latest political pitch or speech to sell DevSecOps to the management team? We want to learn from you.
Yeah.
One line.
I think No lies. They are realities.
No,
They are
lines.
realities. Oh, don't
Lines.
go. Yeah, they are reality.
Lines.
No, they're not lies. Yeah. You see, I approach security from the risk, from the risk side. Yeah. I'm so risk wanting risk management. So and I think it's the best way to deal with business on security is to be able to articulate risk for them. Yeah, to be able to convince them that, say for instance, that a bad vulnerability can actually crystallize into some risk situation. Is the ability to do that articulation. And I've been doing it for so long, and that is all I do now, is being able to convince business that there is a need for us to secure this more. We could be securing it more by tooling up. We could be securing it more by accepting the risk, and then business accepting risk with right knowledge. Most times we go, okay, if they accept it, they've accepted it, it's out of our hands. I mean, a good security person will beat himself when there is a security issue. I believe all of us. Nobody feels good, that any security issue comes up around you. So you should be able to give business the right information to do the right acceptance. From experience now, I've found out that things that business accepted as, yeah, let's live with it, we can live with it, it is there, it's not materializing, it's not whatever it is. I have found situations where when these situations are well articulated, I mean clients, yeah, before now, when the situations are well articulated, they will tell you, what can we do to reduce this issue you've identified? What are your recommendations? How can we deal with it? And you are wondering, but you accepted it. But I didn't understand it in this form, because I mean, when you come to tell me I've got critical vulnerability, and then what? You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, I'm vulnerable, then what? But we're still operational. It's still working. Yeah, it's still happening. So all of this you're saying, I can't understand it. All of this you're speaking, I don't know what you're saying. So there is a need for us as the community to learn articulation, risk articulation, risk situation articulation.
Absolutely.
That is your best way, that is the best politics you can have. I mean, you pop their eyes, you articulate it good, you pop their eyes, and they give you all the support to do the right things for them. Because no business wants to know that there is something that is within the business that can stop them, or that can put them at loggerheads with regulators, or that can become bad news for them. No business wants to do that. Any business that tells you that it can, we can go on, then there must be something wrong with the business managers. But any right-thinking business manager, you do right articulations of the security situation, we actually do the right risk acceptance. Either let's go reduce it, how much is it going to cost, what is the control, or do you think I can remove this, or how can I remove this, or how can I re-engineer that particular environment or technology or service or product, whatever it is. So that is my political, there are no lies.
No, I wasn't actually referring to lights.
No. I mean political. You know, when you say political, you know the politicians. You know.
Quote unquote.
Absolutely. Today, go ahead, please.
Well, yeah. I think this has been an interesting discussion. We could go on and on and on. So I think for our viewers, I wanted to like pick on personal questions and just ask you, like if you had to do this all over again, what would you do differently? Like if you could talk to yourself 30, 20 years ago from an information security in your field right now, what would you have told yourself? Like, look, do this differently to, you know, excel within this field?
What would I have done differently in information
what would you tell yourself, your younger version, if you could?
Okay. My younger version shouldn't have explored medicine at all. You know, shouldn't have. You know, I should. You see. My younger version, yeah. Talk about it. I remember in high school, I had a maths teacher. One of my maths teachers called me one day into the staff room and asked me, "What do you want to be?" And I went, "I want to be a neurosurgeon." And he said, "What is that?" I said, "Brain doctor." I said, "Brain doctor." I mean, back home in Nigeria, yeah. And I said, "Brain doctor." And he went, seriously, yeah, he went, "I think you would do well with computing science." And then I asked him, "What is computer science?"
Oh, why?
Yeah, because I mean, in high school, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
you know,
when we were
yeah?
growing up, it was only 3 things that you could do. You could either become a doctor, an engineer,
or a lawyer.
Or a lawyer back home, yeah? No, but beyond that, yeah, I had a good guidance counseling unit that was opening our minds to loads and loads of other things, and you know, because of the high school I went to. But computer science, I had done computers. There were computers, yeah, you know, those old,
exactly,
yeah,
boring.
You know, it was so foreign because the typewriters were everywhere, and I was asking, "What is computer science?" And the only thing the guy could tell me was, in Nigeria, you could, you know, I do think you would do very well in computer science. You could go to, he called out 4 universities I could go to. And I said, "Well, I'm not interested in that computer science." You know, he now said something to me, because then I was doing further mathematics. He said, "The way you deal with polynomials and all of the way your brain goes, the logic part of further maths, I think you do well in computing." Right. I threw it out, and then was still exploring my, you know, the brain doctor, you know, yeah.
The brain doctor came back home.
Yeah, the brain doctor. Until I said, "No way." I said, "No way," stubbornly. It was so crazy. It was almost going to break my family. I said, "No way. I'm no longer doing that neurosurgeon or whatever, medical degree, whatever. I'm going to IT." And I went to IT.
Fantastic.
And I've not regretted being in IT. It's so I know I would have been a very good medical doctor, but I wouldn't have been a very happy one. I know. I wouldn't have been a very happy one. And by now, I don't think I would have still been a clinician. Maybe I would go into medical research, not the regular everyday people are coming to tell you their heads are aching them or their hands are aching them. You know, I'll get very tired of that. Yes, and that is why I've been jumping from I mean, I've gone through every part of IT. I ended up with InfoSec, which is the most, you can tell. I mean, you can tell, it is new every day, new deals, new things. I mean, you could go up, come down, it's still interesting, So, my young self, you shouldn't have wasted any time thinking about medicine.
Fantastic. I think it's a wrap. Thank you so much. Let me say that thank you to you. Thank you so much for coming, for creating our time. I know how Tunde and I chased you a bit, so that we can get you. But we're so happy to have you, and we hope to still have you some other time. And we hope our listeners have got a fantastic time. And Tunde, take it up.
I can't say anything more than thank you very much. It's been a breath of fresh air, and we definitely know this is not going to be the last time. We're going to have you back on this again as we go ahead in this journey of ours. Thank you very much. Like I say, over to you, Yemi.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Don't forget, you can watch this recording much later on our YouTube link. You can send some of your comments to us on both LinkedIn and also on Twitter. And until the next time, when is that again? Yeah, definitely. Today.
You get to know. Get to be on our LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast, like Emi said. We have our email. And if you want to reach out to us, we're on the JU team at justunsecure.com. Let us know your comments, if what you want us to talk about, and we'll be happy to, talk about it again. We're doing this for the love of the security world, especially from an African perspective. Yep. And we're here to improve knowledge. That's it. Thank you, Yemi.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye, Aijay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.